You're listening to KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine.
The opinions and views expressed in this program do not reflect those of KUCI, its management, or the UC Board of Regents. To find out more about this talk show or other talk shows broadcasting on KUCI, log on to our website at kuci.org or check out the latest program guide.
This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Long Beach Shakespeare Company for their presentation of Sherlock Holmes and the Final Problem.
Hi, my name is Jan18 Marcus. I'm a KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Joe Montanari. I've been a voice actor for a little over 20 years. I've done some commercials, some audiobooks, some industrials as they call them, and I've been with the Long Beach Shakespeare Company for a little over 6 years now. I'm one of the resident directors and actors here.
And which character did you play tonight?
Tonight I played Dr. Watson and Professor Moriarty. Well, you know, Dr. Watson is the go-between between the reader and Sherlock Holmes, all his adventures. Quite an important character in that way. And he also is the friend, the true friend of Sherlock Holmes, who I would think Sherlock Holmes, because of his nature of being suspicious and always looking for things to deduce, that it's good to have a good friend like Dr. Watson to bounce ideas off of stuff. And then, of course, Moriarty. This is the first time that Moriarty is brought into the story, and first time that the public really gets to meet Moriarty. And of course, it's the last time that they get to meet Moriarty. So that obviously that character is very important, and being the yin to Holmes's yang, as it were.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should expect to see some very good acting, Foley work, and music. And they should expect to have a good time, because it should be fun.
I agree. I basically enjoyed myself a lot, basically because I'm in radio, and this type of radio is kind of a lost art. You know, where you actually, because obviously television has taken over. Radio actually came into its glory days in the 20s. Television came on the 40s. So we're talking 20 years. Just 20 years where radio, majority of the country listened to radio. In 20 short years. And people talk about the internet, how it exploded so much. The internet's been around more than 20 years, and radio is still the second largest medium out there right now. So radio really took off. And it was a beautiful art form. People would be entranced. They'd be listening to it for hours and hours and hours. So a lot of people just don't realize how great radio was at one point in time.
Well, the really wonderful thing about radio is the intermediary between the novel and the movies. It's that step where the listener is still actively involved, because they are creating the pictures with, of course, the help from the character actors' voices and the sound effects and the music. But the audience has to create the picture. What does Holmes actually look like? What is Watson wearing? They have to be involved in that. So it's an interactive type of medium that keeps the listener involved.
You're also the director of this, aren't you?
Yes, I am, of this particular play, yeah.
So why did you decide to do this piece?
I didn't decide to do this. We have an artistic director and the board, and they decide what plays we're going to do. And I decided to do it because they asked me to direct, and I said, okay, I will. That's the kind of guy I am.
Yeah, but it's not like you're sitting around doing nothing. There's other stuff you could be doing. You wanted to do this for some reason. I mean, the play itself had to have some kind of meaning to you. You know what I mean?
Well, the play has some meaning to me, but what has more meaning to me is being allowed to work here at the Helen Borgers Theater with the Long Beach Shakespeare Company, to be allowed to work with such great people as you saw here on stage tonight. Our producer is wonderful, and our artistic director, Brando Cutts, super. So it is truly a privilege to work here.
Okay, and as your director, I think like 80% of your job is actually casting. So what do you look for your casting, at least in this piece?
Well, since I've worked with these people before, I look for people that I can trust. I look for people that are willing to take some chances, that are willing to work on it. And I'm looking for some people that are flexible, that can do different character voices. Because we only have just 3 actors in this play. We do War of the Worlds in October. That's 37 different characters we only have 5 actors. So I have to have people who can do different character voices and sustain them. So that's what I'm looking for in actors and Foley person. Like you point out, it is an art to be a Foley person. It's not just banging the shoes and banging the coconut shells to make the horse. It's a way to make it real, and ours is very good at that.
Yeah. Plus, it's also live, and a lot of people don't realize when you cut up a radio show or a program, you're spending hours and hours cutting out, like, interruptions, noises, and all that. When you're on stage, you get one shot, and you don't get a second shot. So that's something to enjoy also.
It definitely is. And, of course, it gives us that little adrenaline rush to know that we're doing it live in front of an audience. And, yeah, you have, like you said, just one chance of doing it. But we work hard to get to that point. But I have to tell you how good these people are. We start on Sunday with a read-through. We rehearse Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and we open on Friday. So we only do 5 days before we open. That's how good these people are to get it to the point where we had it today.
Okay, well, I really enjoyed myself tonight. I thought you guys were fantastic. I love radio. Again, I myself am radio, so I really enjoy things like this. I think my audience will enjoy it also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Well, thank you very much, and hope to see you again.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Joe LaCicero. I'm an actor, and I play Sherlock Holmes. I love the character. I grew up with the character. I think I've watched every iteration of him, and I find him a joy to play because he's so full of himself.
The Sherlock Holmes you played was pretty straightforward, very heroic, very typical. But actually inside the novel, he was actually a drug addict, and he was actually, sometimes he would shoot his revolver on the wall. He's somewhat of a type of character, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, Sherlock Holmes is always sober when he's on a case. Many of those interesting moments are in his boredom. Sherlock Holmes was straight edge and focused and at his happiest when he was on a case or chasing somebody. So that's the way I played him for this. Had you found Sherlock at a time when there was nothing for him to do, he would have probably been very high in a dark room.
Great. Awesome. If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
The Final Problem. A great cast of actors and Foley artists and musicians bringing a piece of literature to life.
I loved your performance in Sherlock Holmes. I loved your voice, very deep. It basically, you played him very heroic. And actually, there was a twist in the end that I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't have expected. But it was actually very appropriate because I guess that's the way the novel played it.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
All right, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine. And I'm here with
Sarah Hoven. I am also an actress and a company member here at the Long Beach Shakespeare Company, and have done a lot of different Shakespeare shows and radio shows for them.
Great. And which character do you play tonight?
Well, I play various characters. I'm Mrs. Hudson, and I'm the innkeeper, and I'm the piano, which means I'm the musician, the live music.
Yeah, actually, in theater, there are a lot of characters like you. This is like one actor who plays like everything. That's actually a very challenging role, isn't it?
It can be, yes. And this one, it's interesting because I get to use a lot of different accents. I'm also the commercials. So I've got to use a Brooklyn accent and a German accent and an English accent and my own normal American accent. So it is challenging and a lot of fun.
Yeah, if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
I think that they should expect to see something that they don't normally get to see, because people don't get to see radio shows performed live, especially 40s style. That's quite a few years ago now. So they get to see something unique and fun and interesting, and all the sound effects being made and the characters doing different voices. You know how when you see something on like a Disney movie and you see those characters, actors that you know really well, and they're doing voices, and it's kind of fun to see them in the room? It's kind of like getting to see something like that done as a production.
I really enjoyed it because, again, I do a radio, and there's a lot of things you have to worry about. First of all, some things you don't have to worry about. Like, you don't have to worry about your appearance. You don't have to worry about a lot of stuff. Some people are dressed not nice. and basically, you really can't tell. You just have a voice to listen to. And sometimes when you listen to the radio, you picture them in this grand ballroom. Because one thing I like doing is I always like having background conversation in my radio programs. So if you hear it, you think there's like 1,000 people in the room. They're at this gala, they're in tuxedos, and champagne is being served everywhere, but that's not really the case.
Absolutely. It's the magic of radio, isn't it? You can go anywhere you want just by making the right and appropriate sounds, and that it's a lot of fun. And I think that the added thing about here is you can come and watch it. So that's why we look a little bit more dressed up, because we like to have the look of the 40s. And you can either have it just visually as well as just audio. Either way you want to have it.
Okay, well, I really enjoyed myself tonight. I myself am a fan of Sherlock Holmes, and I really am a fan of radio also.
So are we, and we're glad that you are. Thank you for coming to see us.
Thank you once again for being on the show. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Kelly Bolker. I am the Foley artist for our production of Sherlock Holmes.
For my viewers who don't understand what a Foley artist is, what is that anyway?
The Foley artist does supplemental sound effects, so footsteps, horse sounds, whatever is needed to add to the scene of the play.
You know, I am involved in several charities. One of them is actually for blind people. And the world they live in is very fascinating. They live in a world of sound. And they're actually intrigued. Like, you know, you imagine like listening to champagne corks popping. You get an emotion from that. You know, things that trigger. You hear horse steps walking around. You hear glass cracking. An emotion comes from that. So it's very, very important.
Yes, I think it definitely adds a new dimension to the play, especially over radio when it can get pretty chatty and, you know, about the words. It kind of breaks it up and gives some other cues to pay attention to. So it definitely adds to it.
Yeah, you called yourself an artist, not a technician. Why do you consider yourself an artist? I mean, opposed to, say, someone who's just playing a background tape or someone just making noise. Why do you consider yourself that?
I think there's, you know, it says in the script footsteps, but you add, you know, maybe a style to how the person is approaching the situation or how, you know, they are built in your mind, how they look. It kind of, you can put your own spin on it. So I think it takes a little bit more thinking than just doing what it says in the script. So in that way.
I really enjoyed the performance tonight. I love the Foley art. Because again, I sometimes when I'm doing radio, I always have to concentrate. Is there a voice behind me? You know, what happens if someone says something, they call for something like that? So I'm always worried about the noise around me. But every now and then there's something very intriguing. Like I remember once during a program, usually I cut out people who interrupt me. But in one of my interviews, you heard someone interrupt me. Like, yeah, I thought that was fantastic. There was a reason why I left that in. It was actually a very famous television star who said that, and no one knew that except for me, because you know I felt very flattered that he actually commented something, and I never gave him a credit for it. No one knew who he was, but I always left it in just because of the noise, the sound, because you're in radio. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Things like that, little things like that, add a lot, and I believe your performance added a lot also.
Cool, thank you.
All right, thank you once again for being on the show.
Thank you.
My name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Brando Cutts. I'm the artistic director for the Long Beach Shakespeare Company, and I was adaptor for this production.
Great. And so why did you decide to do this piece anyway?
This year we're doing a season of villains for our 2019 season, and this was the perfect way to kick it off because it is the classic villain setup where you have good and evil, and we have these two guys who are both extremely talented and extremely capable, and it shows that it's a choice how you use your powers, to use them for good or for evil.
So question, could you tell me a little bit about the Long Beach Shakespeare Company?
We have been in our space now over at 4250 Atlantic for about 17 years. We have been in the city of Long Beach for just about over 20 years. We used to do just shows in the various parks in Long Beach, but now we have our own space, and we had for some time. And our goal is to bring classics to life to the people of Long Beach here on stage.
I really enjoyed your piece on Sherlock Holmes. I'd like to see more of it. Again, me being a radio guy, you'll probably see me come by every now and then.
Terrific, and I am a KUCI listener. I am a UC Irvine alum. Zot, go Anteaters.
Okay. Well, once again, I really enjoyed myself tonight. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, sir.
Sherlock Holmes and the Final Problem will be playing at the Long Beach Shakespeare Company from January 11th through January 20th. For more information, go to www.lbshakespeare.org. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at Little Fish Theater for their presentation of Pick of the Vine. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Jim Rice. I directed the C Word and the Beatrix Potter Must Die.
What did you like most about those pieces? I mean, why did you choose to direct them?
Well, the C Word is one of the first plays I've run into where it's an honest look at the initial reaction to finding out you might have cancer. Its honesty prevents it from becoming maudlin, and then allows for some dark humor that, are the things that we really experience. Plus, both the actors in that piece are a joy to work with. Beatrix Potter Must Die is just that funny look at what happens, the results of things from the future, travel and that kind of. It's just fun.
I love the pieces tonight. I loved all of them. And, I usually enjoy the Pick of the Vine a lot. But this one here, I thought they were more intellectual tonight. I thought it wasn't, the comedy was actually very funny, highbrow comedy, witty comedy, not opposed to, say, slapstick or something like that. And I'm not sure how you guys did it, but you guys as directors did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you very much. I know all the directors work really hard. Every Pick of the Vine seems to find its own theme. The pieces seem to naturally come together as we select them over the months, and I think you're right. Sometimes they're very broad, but this year is much more dealing with situational comedy out of relationships and esoteric kind of metaphysical. I think is a better word. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Usually, as a director, 80% of your job is casting. What do you look for in casting for this particular Pick of the Vine?
Well, with any Pick of the Vine, and especially this one, you're looking for actors who have flexibility, who are able to make clear choices, and able to help tell a variety of stories. So, if you have those three things, then you're already halfway to success. In this particular cast, and with this company, we're fortunate to have a number of actors who have that kind of skill, and they fit very well for this year's production.
Yeah. Well, I really love this. I think this is my favorite Pick of the Vine so far, because well, again, there may have been some cases where I loved a piece or two. But as a whole, they were all fantastic. They were very humorous. They all flowed together. You didn't climax or anti-climax at any point in time. You guys just did a fantastic job tonight.
Well, first of all, again, thank you on behalf of all the directors and actors. It's always a joy to do Pick of the Vine, and I would agree with you. I think it's one of our strongest seasons selections. So.
Well, thank you very much for being on the show.
You bet.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Bill Walsky, director and producer of Pick of the Vine.
And which pieces did you direct?
I directed My Scale is Lying to Me, Pick of Levine, and Old Aquatics.
And why did you decide to do those pieces? I mean, why did they stand out to you?
Well, I'm a big fan of Mark Harvey Levine's. He is the writer of Pick of Levine. And to me, those little 1-minute plays, Pick of Levine is a collection of 5 1-minute plays. And you're talking about just the perfect distilled essence of really good theater. To me, it was just a home run. My Scale is Lying to Me I thought was really, really funny, and I wanted to direct a cast of all women. And then Old Aquatics, again, was very amusing to me because of the look that it takes at the end of the holiday season, which we're in right now since it's January 10th, and it allows us to get the kind of perspective and something that's very relatable in that comedy.
I really love this Pick of the Vine because this year, I thought it talked about more deeper topics, like it talked about God, talked about metaphysics, and again, even though it talked about certain things like that, it wasn't offensive. It was actually very respectful, and it actually dealt with the topic pretty well. I mean, debated itself pretty well. So, I mean, I just love the choice of these pieces.
Thank you. Every year we pick the best plays. And sometimes that's 7 comedies and 2 dramas. And sometimes that's 8 comedies and 1 drama. And everybody knows in live theater, comedy sells tickets. But quite frankly, this year around, when we picked 9 of the best plays, about half and half were something with a sensitive subject or a dramedy or something that was very heartfelt, and then you have your laugh a minutes, and again, we're not after selling tickets per se. Pick of the Vine is simply about culling together hundreds and hundreds of submissions and finding the best ones. Whether they're telling a story or making you laugh, that's for the audience to decide, and that's for the audience to react to. We're just after the best writing.
As a director, usually 80% of your job is casting. What do you look for your casting in this particular Pick of the Vine?
Well, being a company-based theater, we always cast from the company members first, and we had no shortage of talent insofar as the people who came. What's really been advantageous for us this year is the fact that all 8 actors are veterans of Pick of the Vine. They know the format, they know the expectations, they know exactly what they have to do to create their characters and to be able to pull off multiple roles in a single evening. So it was really, really easy and very rewarding to work with all of them.
Well, you guys did a fantastic job because even because the actors, sometimes they would have this bit part, like they'd be a store clerk, or they'd just be sitting on a bench, or they'd just be playing a farmer or something like that. They all did fantastic jobs, and they didn't overact, so they really threw themselves in it. But it wasn't it wasn't too much. So as a director, I think you guys pulled them back pretty well.
The nice thing about doing a show in a space this intimate is that you don't have to be theatrical, so to speak. You don't have to do things with jazz hands and big Broadway movements like you're in a musical theater. Not to knock musical theater, but it's performed largely because it's in large houses. There is no camp aspect to Little Fish Theater's performance unless it's done on purpose. You don't have to telegraph things to an audience when you're sitting 3 feet away from them or when they're sitting 3 feet away from you. So it's nice because we can do nuanced performances like this, and there's nothing for the audience to miss. So yeah, in terms of that, it's sometimes necessary to pull the actors back, or just to encourage them to do things that are small and internal, so that they really give a nice 3-dimensional performance.
Well, I really loved the performances. I loved all the actors, too. They're fantastic. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, Ashton. Good to see you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Richard Perloff. I directed 2 of the 9 pieces. I directed the second piece in Act 1, which was called The Sum of Your Experience, and I directed the second piece in Act 2, which is called Canvas.
And why did you decide to choose those particular pieces?
I always gravitate. This is the fourth time that I've directed for Pick of the Vine. I always gravitate towards the more serious pieces. I like that. I like being responsible for the contrast in the evening because since I've been working at Little Fish, Pick of the Vine has largely been made up of very broad comedic pieces. And I love that. I love them, but I like to work for the ones that take the audience the other direction.
I know that, Little Fish Theater has a very big classical background. This, obviously, the Pick of the Vine aren't classical pieces. Do you think it helps to have some kind of classical training in for something like this?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think the fundamental things apply. I'm just interested in directing what I think is a good story. And these were 2 pieces that impressed themselves on me as, for what they are. For a 10-minute play, they've got a little bit of a punch.
I love the pieces. I thought they were, especially this night. I always enjoy the Pick of the Vine, but tonight I think the pieces were all highbrow. Even the comedy. You say usually they choose comedies. Even the comedy was very intellectual. It would talk about God. It would talk about metaphysics, or it would talk about something like is a person nothing but his memories? What happens if you lose them? Are you still the same person? Can someone else be? You know what I mean? It was just very intellectual tonight.
No, that's interesting. I mean, I'm just picking up the buzz at intermission and after the show. I think we've had a lot of our regular audience people who have seen many Pick of the Vine collections over the years offer up that same opinion that this year's was a particularly compelling group of short plays.
Also the actors, because sometimes the actor would be something like just a store clerk, or there'd be just a bum or something like that. But they threw themselves in it very well, and it all seemed like it was one solid piece. Where it climaxed, where it anticlimactic. It was just so well done.
Yeah, both of my plays were 2-character plays, so I'm working with a total of 4 actors, and 3 of the actors I worked with on the plays that you saw tonight, I was working with for the first time. But I've known them for years. I've been watching their work for years, but this is the first time I've gotten to work with them. And that kind of that enhanced my pleasure in the experience, because I've seen what they can do, but it's like, okay, now I get to take my turn with them.
As a director, what do you look for in your casting in this particular Pick of the Vine?
Well, we have to, when the 4 directors are sitting in the room and watching auditions, we know that job number 1 is finding actors who are versatile, because you have to paint a number of different pictures over the course of the evening. And that's the first thing. And a number of these actors have done Pick of the Vine before, and we know that they have that ability.
Okay. Well, I really loved the Pick the Vine tonight. I thought it was the best Pick the Vine I've seen, and I love the actors. So even some of the actors where I know these actors, I know what they can do, but tonight they just shined like I couldn't believe it. I thought some of the persons who I've just seen as bit actors were some of my favorite actors tonight. So I just love the performance.
Well, you've been coming here long enough, so that's part of the delight, I think, of becoming familiar with a company of actors, is that you see what they do in a number of different environments, and every now and again they'll still surprise you.
Yeah. Well, I loved it tonight. I loved the direction also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Hi, Cynthia Nava-Palmer. I graduated from UC Irvine, actually, BA in drama. Yay!
Great. And which pieces did you direct?
I directed Frozen Foods and Last Bride of Ansbruck.
So, question, why did you decide to direct those pieces?
Well, Frozen Foods I jumped on because I'm a big sci-fi fan. I also am an existentialist and identified with the characters in the play. There's a lot of physical comedy as well. I enjoy directing physical pieces and things that are abstract. There's a lot of humor in there, and also relatable things in terms of eco-anxiety and other such relatable problems. And Last Bride of Ansbruck I chose simply because I think it's a story that hasn't been told often. I think a lot of Americans were not aware that we actually brought prisoners of war back to the U.S. from Europe.
Actually, I love the pieces that you directed. Basically, first of all, I thought this particular Pick of the Vine was metaphysical. It talked about God. It talked about even the fantasy pieces. It talked about, again, like being married to someone far away, or basically, like when your spouse dies, just on a trip or something like that. So it was actually very deep tonight.
Yes, I think we covered a lot of bases in general, and also the producers of Pick of the Vine and the directors together, I think we had a good balance of comedy and also some more serious. They all broached serious topics, but we were able to experience them in many different ways, such is human life.
And as a director, obviously 80% of your job as a director is casting. So what do you look for your casting in this particular Pick of the Vine?
Well, for Frozen Foods, I was actually looking for compatibility in terms of physical comedy and who was willing to play, because I love to play, start from an absurd place and then go from there and see what someone is bringing to the table. And for Ansbruck, it was really just about who was able to be vulnerable and access that kind of a little more heartfelt storytelling. Yeah.
Well, are you new to Pick of the Vine or the Little Fish Theater?
Yeah, I'm not new to Little Fish. I actually started here as a sound designer, but and it's my first time directing here, so it's been fun. I think it's been a great first show to be on here as a director.
Definitely great, because this is probably my favorite Pick of the Vine. It was just done so well, and maybe it has something partially to do with you.
I think all of us together, yeah, absolutely. It was a good chemistry overall of cast and production team and the design team. So
once again, I thought it was an excellent performance tonight. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Rachel Levy. Well, I'm originally from Seattle. I've been in LA for about 20 years, and I love Little Fish Theater and getting to do the show every year, which is Pick of the Vine.
And which characters did you play, and which pieces were you in?
Oh, my goodness. So I'm Edie in Old Aquatics. I'm Darcy in The C Word. I'm a fish in one of the fish plays. I'm in Tag, and let's see, I'm forgetting one, I'm sure. Oh, Frozen Foods. I'm Linda.
If my viewers decide to come out and see these pieces, what should they expect to see?
Oh, they're going to see the whole experience. They're going to see comedy, they're going to see tragedy, they're going to see things that are just absolutely ridiculous and metaphysical and bizarre, and things that are very, very, very real and really touching. So I like to call Pick of the Vine short attention span theater. Just wait 10 minutes because everything's going to change.
Tonight you were my favorite actor. No, because first of all, you put so many funny, interesting characters together, and also highlighted the messages behind the pieces. Sometimes you'd be talking about, New Year's, and you'd be talking about the regrets of life, and you'd be talking about, you'd be talking about the other things about life, like, when you're young and, in childhood. And I loved your comedy tonight, I loved your drama, and I loved the way you presented your pieces also.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. That's one of the unique things about doing Pick of the Vine is you really get to live your life in a day. There's all the things. It's not just comedy. It's not just tragedy. We have some surreal pieces. There's just so much depth to the plays that we pick, and we read a lot of plays to pick these 9 to show for you. So yeah, it's great. It's a great experience. It's a great challenge as an actor to be able to do all these plays and give them life and give them reality and not make them really one-dimensional, which is easy to do, especially when you only have 10 minutes.
But I think, again, kudos to you because I've seen you before. Yeah. I've seen you in pieces before. I've seen other actors, and other actors, I guess I might have a bias towards them. But tonight, you just outdid yourself. You were my favorite actor among actors that I really enjoy also.
Well, I will put that feather in my cap then.
All right. Once again, I love the performance. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for talking with me.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Don Schlossman. I am a company member of Little Fish Theater of 13 years.
And which characters and pieces were you in tonight?
I was in The Sum of Your Experience, The Last Bride of Annesbrook, Pick of Levine, and Beatrix Potter Must Die.
If my viewers decide to come and see these pieces, what should they expect to see?
It's quite as an evening of short plays, it varies. You're going to get some comedy, you're going to get some farce, you're going to get some more dramatic pieces, and it's a very nice mix. They curate it very well to make sure that it covers a lot of ground of human experience.
I really enjoyed the pieces. First of all, I thought they were very deep. I thought they were very meaningful. A little more deeper actually this time than usually. Talked about religion, talked about politics a little bit, talked about God and all that. But I really have to compliment you on your characters too, because even the small characters you had to do, you actually put character in them. You give them a different voice. You gave them a different body. You just put a lot of substance into it, and you were just very entertaining tonight.
Well, thank you very much. I feel that's my job, particularly in an evening where you're going to play so many different characters. It's my job to differentiate them and make them as different from each other as I can, and still have them grounded in some kind of a reality that is honest and not a cartoon.
Yeah, and also with all the things that are coming at you, I mean, not only were the pieces very entertaining, not only were they very philosophical, not only they were just put together so well that the comedy would come after the drama, the philosophy would not be repeating itself. So God would be. They talk about God at the beginning, but later, like 5 plays later, they would talk about it too. So it was just very well directed. You know what I mean?
The producers of the festival do a very good job of curating it in that way. We, after we've gone through and whittled it down to about maybe 15 pieces, then they'll select the best 8 or 9 that really fit together in a way, and then they are so adept at being able to figure out what should the order be, because you've got to juggle, how many actors are going to have a quick change, because, everyone is a small cast of, I believe we're 8, and everybody is in multiple pieces, so you want to try and place them so no actor has a crazy quick change, but also, as you say, for the flow that the audience is going to be experiencing, the journey emotionally that we take them through is very important, and I really commend the producers for doing such a good job of making sure that it flows in that way.
Yeah, it was excellent because it didn't climax to the point where people were laughing at the end when they're not supposed to. Because again, short pieces like that put together, you make sure you don't have anticlimactical points or anything like that. So I just think you guys really did a fantastic job. I really loved the performance tonight, and I really loved your performance also.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on the show.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
I'm Holly Baker Cresworth. Sure, I am one of the producers of Pick of the Vine, and this year I was chosen to act in it, which is awesome, and I also did some of the sound design. I have been at Little Fish for something like, 12 years, and I'm a company member here, and I like directing and acting here. It's my artistic home for sure.
Great. And which characters did you play?
Oh my goodness, I was in 5 plays, so it's so hard to remember character names off the top of my head. But I play everything from a harried housewife to a young bride in Germany to Beatrix Potter. So I get quite the actor's workout.
And if my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
It's really a great way to sample. It's almost like a buffet of plays. We have 9 different shows, so if you don't like one of them, the next one's coming up in 7 or 8 minutes. There's a lot of comedy and some pretty heavy drama, and maybe 1.5 of them. And we have an existential comedy in a frozen food section. And how many shows can say that they have that?
Well, one thing I enjoyed about it was, first of all, it was very intellectual. It was very intelligent. But even though it did talk about things like God and about politics a little bit, none of it was actually offensive. I thought it was actually very respectful, a lot of things that it did.
Yeah, we try to make sure that our shows, especially with Pick of the Vine, because it's such a high-selling show, that we don't alienate any of our audience. We want them to have a good time while they're in here. We want them to feel and think, but not to come away thinking that, we were trying to force certain groups away. So I think that we're pretty all-inclusive in the shows that we pick, and that we're also mindful of our audience.
Yeah, a lot of times during the prior Pick of the Vines, I compared it to like Saturday Night Live, or in Living Color. But actually, this one was a little different. It was actually more, I thought it was just more substantive. It had a lot more meat, talked about existentialism, talked about what is a person, talked about, talked a little bit about God and all that. And it also talks little fantasies about, about someone whose wife died and she's just on a trip somewhere, or basically getting married and separated by war. So it was just very deep this time.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think, not that we ever have in the past shows, but in this show, I don't think we have any kind of filler, any fluff. Anything that is a comedy also has some substance to it. And yeah, it might be a little bit edgy or weird to be having, a wedding taking place in 2 different places, but I think that we pull it all together, and that give the audience something to think about and something to feel, rather than, oh, that was funny, what's the next piece?
Okay. I really loved the performances tonight. I really loved your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks, Ashton.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Daniel Tennant of Little Fish Theater Company. I've been acting for most of my life at this point, 57 individual productions under my belt, 7 of them, I believe, here at Little Fish Theater.
And which characters did you play, and which pieces were you in?
I am in The Last Bride of Ansbruck, playing Max. I am in Pick of Levine, playing multiple characters, and I am in Old Aquatics, playing Drew.
If my viewers decide to come by and see these pieces, what should they expect to see?
Well, they should expect to have a mix of everything. A little bit of drama, a little bit of comedy, and a really good time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it tonight. Basically, more than just that, first of all, the comedy is very highbrow. It's not like slapstick or offensive. How some people actually just do comedy by saying swear words and they think that's funny. It had a message behind it. Sometimes it talked about God. Sometimes it talked about politics. Sometimes it talked about metaphysics. I just thought it was very well done this time.
Yeah, we got a lot of submissions from all over the place, and we narrowed it down to 9 select shows, and we tried to include some funny, some tear-jerkers, and just give people a nice overall taste of what theater can be.
I also enjoyed the acting. I mean, I always enjoy the acting at Little Fish Theater, but tonight, you guys, I wouldn't say I didn't see any overacting, but I saw intense acting. I mean, with what you had, and sometimes you would just have a little piece about a poet, or a farmer or something like that, but you would be the best farmer you can be, the best poet you can be, and you wouldn't be overacting. So you guys just did a fantastic job tonight.
Well, it's all about bringing the real to the theater and presenting characters that are realistic and not caricatures of what they could be. It's easier to connect with someone who's real than someone who's false, phony. And I think that's why the audience did connect so well with the pieces we presented, is because everyone in the show brings a realism to each and every character.
Well, I really love the performance tonight. I also love your performance also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you very much for coming.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Kimberly Patterson. This is my second Pick of the Vine that I've done here at Little Fish. I've been a member for quite a while. I've been in Los Angeles for a while now. I came out to get my master's at UCLA and just trying to do it.
And which characters were you and pieces that you were in?
I was in Tag, The Order, and My Scale is Lying to Me.
Which ones were your favorite characters?
I like The Order just because it's so short and fast and witty that I really like that. I like Tag because that one's just I get to go insane. And then, I also really love My Scale is Lying to You because I think I have the nice twist in that one.
If my viewers decide to come by and see these pieces, what should they expect to see?
Everything. A little slice of everything. We've got the serious, might make you cry a little bit, but I think we have some that are just hysterically funny this year.
What I liked about it was the actors really put themselves into it, because some pieces were actually, if you don't handle it right, you're just basically like a teacher just giving a boring lecture. Because, sometimes they talk about metaphysics, sometimes they talk about, religion, sometimes they talk about, just romantic fantasies or something like that. But the actors tonight really carried it off. They just put so much emotion into it.
Well, I think it's so important, especially with such short pieces, that the actor is fully invested in it, because the audience doesn't have time to get to know you, get to know your character. So you've got to put it all out there and just focus on that one character that you're portraying and really be invested in it. And I think that's the way you get the audience into it.
Yeah. Also, got to compliment you on a comic timing, because comedy is all about timing. And I guess the drama, the interplay, the connection with the audience also, and just paying attention to the audience also. So I have to compliment you guys on that too.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always so much fun, and I've worked with these actors many times, and it's always kind of like a reunion, getting back and doing Pick of the Vine together.
Once again, I really love the performances tonight. I love your performance too. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with...
Oh, I'm Perry Shields. This is my fourth Pick of the Vine, and I'm in 3 of the 9 plays tonight. I am in the sum of my experience with Don Schlossman. I think that's my favorite just because it's the 2 of us on stage. And I'm also in Last Bride of Onsbrook Village and Pick of Levine.
If my viewers decide to come by and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
Well, the nice thing about Pick of the Vine is that there are 9 short plays. Each play runs 10 minutes or so. If you don't like one, you'll like the next one. There's something for everybody in this show, and we try to get people out in less than 2 hours. So it's a really good theater experience, especially for people who are new to theater or not used to seeing a lot of theater.
I really enjoyed the pieces. Actually, in the pieces you were in too, I felt that not only was it funny, but it was actually very entertaining, and as well as very smart. It was kind of like some of the topics talked about what is a person. Like, for example, one of your pieces, is a person just some of his memories, some of his circumstances? What happens if he forgets things? What happens if he loses? Is he still the same person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think that piece, one reason it's my favorite is just because it makes us think about how much we really do take from other people, how much is us, and how much of our personality is borrowed or even stolen from other people, and then we incorporate it into our own life. And not that it removes it from that person, though. This is a fantasy, but it is an interesting concept.
Okay. And I enjoyed all the other pieces too. They're very, very smart, whether they be political, like the fish scene, or basically
Right.
they be like, they talked about God, or they talked about, in general, just funny things that a person can be, because of life is just kind of ironic, it's sardonic, it's just funny.
Yeah, well, that's another thing. We always try to mix up comedy and drama, and there's always a couple plays in Pick of the Vine that go very deep into certain issues, especially the one in this called Canvas, where the woman meets the fellow in the restaurant wearing an army jacket that's not his.
Okay. Well, I really enjoyed myself, and I enjoyed your performances also. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm with...
Hi, I'm Susie McCarthy, and I'm a Little Fish company member.
really love doing Pick of the Vine. There's so many little wonderful plays out there that can tell complete stories in 10 minutes or less, and can touch you, make you laugh, make you cry, make you think, and it's really fun. It's just a really fun ensemble show.
And which characters were you and which pieces were you in?
I was in Your Scale. My Scale is Lying to Me, and I play Shelley, who is the store employee, and I was also in Canvas, and I play the mother of a soldier, and then I'm also in Pick of Levine. I play a lady in the church who's breaking up with God, and I also play a fish.
I've always loved the Pick of Mine. I thought that there were fantastic pieces and all, but this one had more depth to them. They talked about God. They talked about metaphysics. They talked about, even the comedy was actually very highbrow. It wasn't slapstick. It wasn't just. It was either very challenging for an actress, or it was actually. It was just well written. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we get some of the most amazing submissions. Like Holly said, it was over 800 submissions this year. And I agree with you in that there was a lot more depth in this one. Usually they pick a lot of comedies, but it was really nice to get that other it's more balanced, I think, where it's not like, you get silly comedies, but then you get thoughtful pieces that really make you think or tug at your heart, and it's just a wonderful experience to play with these people and to play in these roles.
Yeah. Also, the acting was fantastic tonight. It was challenging. It was entertaining. It was, again, for you guys. It was a tour de force. But also for the audience member, basically you didn't lose us. It wasn't boring. You didn't have to wait until the next piece before we saw something interesting. It was all just very good.
Wonderful. I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad everybody came out and had a good time. That's what we're here for.
Okay. Really love the performance tonight. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
Pick of the Vine will be playing at Little Fish Theater from January 10th through February 3rd. For more information, go to www.littlefishtheater.org. This is Ashton Marcus, and I'm on location at the Complex Ruby Theater for the world premiere of A Misunderstanding. Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Matt Chait. Well, I'm the author of the play. I was an actor for a long time, and I went on a spiritual journey when I was in my mid-20s to my early 30s. And then I kind of re-entered normal life, you might say. And I think particularly after having children, through having children, you get to interface with a lot of people that you wouldn't normally interface with through play groups and school volunteer groups, etc. And it just so happened that a number of the people that I got to meet were scientists, and they would say things conversationally that were completely the opposite of what I held to be true. And this really startled me, and then I tried to think for a very long time and very deeply about how is there a way that I can hold all these scientific truths that have been revealed in the last 50 years within a spiritual context? Because I knew from my own experience and the people that I met on my spiritual journey that they knew something that was absolutely true, and I couldn't deny that. How could I, hold on to that truth and try to make everything compatible with what is now known scientifically? And that's what I've been trying to do. That's what's been haunting me. And I've been involved with theater my whole life, and then it dawned on me about 5 or 6 years ago that, maybe I could write a play that that presented my ideas, and that's what I did.
Great. And which character did you play tonight?
I played Dr. Cates, and the name is Bertram Cates, and this is a name taken from the play Inherit the Wind. The first genesis of this play that you saw tonight, which is a misunderstanding, was called Disinherit the Wind. And the characters, it's sort of the reverse. I don't know if you know Inherit the Wind. That was based on the Scopes trial, where a public school teacher was arrested, actually, for introducing Darwin into his public school class. So I took it forward another 80 years, and now a famous neurobiologist was dismissed from the university for introducing spiritual ideas in his biology class. So it was kind of the reverse. And my point was that the Darwinian materialism has become a kind of entrenched, hardened, kind of anti-religion religion, just as resistant to change and just as self-protected as the biblical teachings were when they were resistant to Darwin. Yeah.
I love this piece. I thought it was intellectual, but also it framed, like what you said about this religious type of view. Back in the old days, it wasn't religion we look at nowadays. It was politics. It was like, how do we get as much money as we can? How do we get control of the people? How do we conquer more nations? Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with loving your neighbor, or or it had something to do, I guess, to feeding the poor and all that, but it's more like, how do you manage the poor? Yeah. So it was politics, and that's what it's like nowadays. The people in charge of our education are politicians. Mm-hmm. And again, they have their own agenda. Everyone has their agenda when we talk about things like that. But I love this piece because it didn't have an agenda. It wasn't like a Republican and a Democrat debating about it, yelling at each other. It wasn't about, it wasn't a hate speech. It was actually people just expressing ideas, trying to discover things. I just loved it. It was very intellectual. It didn't talk down to anyone. It was wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that very much. I'm afraid to add anything to that because you just, what you said was so lovely. So, thank you. Thank you.
Well, the play also talked about a couple, which basically talked about the humanity too, because it didn't separate the humanity from the idea of creationism, because a lot of scientists just separate, right. But this was about connecting them. Right. It was about connecting people to this idea. Right. So it's not just chemical reactions, not mathematics on a board. Again, I can't express how much I really respected what you said. Okay, well, once again, love the piece. I loved your performance also.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Ashton Marcus. I'm with KUCI 88.9 FM in Irvine, and I'm here with
Amy Helene Carlson. I'm from New York City. I studied with Bill Esper at his studio in New York, and I'm relatively new to the LA scene.
And which character did you play tonight?
I play Mel, the only woman in the show. Mel, I think, is a really sort of forward-thinking woman, extremely bright, articulate, hardworking, and has a wonderful, very deep relationship with her father and also her fiancé. And she comes to find out that there's a big part of her fiancé that he has kept from her, part of his spiritual life, about some parts of him, sort of his moral constitution, that he has withheld from her. So there's a big rift, and we're not totally sure what ultimately is the fallout between the two lovers.
If my viewers decide to come out and see this piece, what should they expect to see?
They should definitely expect to see a play that really discusses ideas. It's an idea play. It's talking about a much bigger picture and putting it in sort of the setting of a school and two lovers, two intellectual people battling it out, and then also seeing two other people, a young couple who are dealing with the same issue but battling from a heart place instead of a head space. So yeah, if you have questions about creationism versus evolution, or sort of like a bigger picture of intelligent design, you will definitely appreciate the show.
Yeah, I really love this piece. I thought it was fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, first of all, it was very intellectual. Because, in college, I remember talking about things like this with my friends. I mean, we would never talk about it in class, but we would talk about it with our friends because we would take, like, these philosophy courses. And then we think we knew what we were talking about, so we would start talking about this. I mean, how do you know that you exist? I mean, how do you know anything exists? Things like that. And basically,
Totally.
after time went by, you get a little jaded and you realize it's politically incorrect to talk about things I just don't want to think about, things that there are no answers to. So if I ever get a philosophical questions while I'm interviewing, obviously I'm not going to come up with something really controversial that gets half my audience to hate me. I'm going to come up with a phrase, that's a philosophical question, and with all philosophical questions, there's just no answer. It's like, is there right and wrong? Is there good and evil? That's a philosophical question. There's just no answer to that question. But that's a really cowardly response. And this play wasn't cowardly. It actually addressed those, like it, hate it, but you take whatever you want from it. But it was very respectful and very intelligent the way that it answered the questions.
Something I find really wonderful about this piece is it is has an unapologetic point of view, which is, I think, sort of what you're saying, that whether you agree with that point of view or not is up for you to come away from the piece with, but the piece itself, the writing itself, has a point of view, has something to say, and makes no mistake about it. It really lets you have it, I think.
Also loved your character because the characters in general were very complex. The good guy wasn't the good guy, the bad guy wasn't the bad guy. But they all had baggage. They all just had emotion. They all had drama in them, and that's what I liked about your character. You just weren't this typical beautiful girl who basically just, was just always did the right thing. No, you had your problems too. You had to work things out, and at the end, you had to deserve your own happy ending, and you had to suffer through it to make it happen.
Well, I think it's interesting that you said that there's a happy ending, because I don't necessarily know if there is one. I mean, I'd like to think that there is. I would really very much like to think that Mel and Howard end up together, but that's something that I really appreciate, is that the way it's written is we really give Mel a platform to assess herself as her own independent woman who has to deal with the love of her life, the person, her heartbeat soulmate, who has kept these very substantial things from her. So I appreciate that we get to see a woman work through that, and that there isn't sort of a neat bow at the end. We don't come away from that relationship thinking, oh, and, it's sort of like a rat-tat-tat, boom. We don't have that, and I think that is sort of a testament to the quality of the writing, and also a gift to the audience that you get to walk away from that hopefully questioning. Like, maybe you have a good feeling that something will work out, but it's not set in stone and we don't know.
Well, once again, I love the performance. I loved your performance also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
A Misunderstanding will be playing at the Complex Ruby Theater from January 4th through February 3rd. For more information, go to www.plays411.com/misunderstanding.